Hey everyone, welcome to Tea and Chocolate. And my name is Lauren Spagnolo, if you don't know me. And my guest today is Monika, who is a returning guest. And you can find Monica with a K, Diane.com. And you'll figure out what we're going to be talking about today. Monika is an integrative empowerment coach. And the last time I had Monika on the program, we talked about breast implants and the removal of the implants and what that meant for her and the evolution. And today we're just going to take it from the last time we met, which was about 2 years ago, and to see what Monika is offering today. And when we talk about integrative, she kind of delves into all areas of being a woman today. So thank you, Monika, for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. It's really nice to see you.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Yeah, it's great to see you too. I can't believe you said 2 years. I honestly just can't believe that much time has gone by.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to check.
Yeah, that's amazing. Geez. Well, here we are. Yes, yes. So spring is upon us. That's always a good time of year for renewal and rejuvenation and starting things, new things. And it's my favorite time of year. So I tend to get energized and full of ideas this time of year.
Yeah, I tend to see you in nature a lot. Like your
Yeah.
images, you really
Yeah.
go for it. I'm thinking, God, why would she do that? Certain hikes, right? Certain hikes.
Oh, totally. I know some people go in nature and others just look at it through their window. Right?
That would be me.
Yeah.
That's nature. I love it, but to do the things that you're doing kind of are, yeah, they're pretty courageous.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really took it up a notch last year when I decided to go back country backpacking and staying overnight in a tent by myself and there was other people around, but you're still there by yourself, right? I mean, there's lots of space between tents, a bear can come and that kind of thing. And so yeah, it was definitely empowering and it really gave me a sense of what I can do, what I'm capable of doing. So that kind
Yeah.
of led me really to where I am today too.
All right. How
Mhm.
did you feel after those experiences?
Amazing. I,
Yeah.
d- I did not want to stop. It's like, okay, when's the next one? Let's go tomorrow. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah. So I've got a bunch booked for this year as well. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. Might not be as invigorating because now I know what to expect as far as how hard it is to carry a 40-pound backpack, 11,
Right.
10, 13 kilometers up to the top of a mountain. So it's kind of like going to the gym for the first time. The second time is like, oh yeah, I know what's expecting, I know what to expect when I get there. So, but it's beautiful nonetheless. So I'm sure it'll be just as joyful.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about this integrative empowerment coach. I know that your audience is based mostly, it is women at the end of the day.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, tell us what you offer.
Well, I chose the word integrative because I think a lot of people they try to slot themselves into just being, one type of coach. And I've always bounced all over the place because I have so many different interests. And some people might label that multi-passionate. I'm not really a fan of labels, but I am. I have so many different facets to me. Like you said, the outdoors. I love connecting with nature. Um, I'm a personal trainer by trade. I've also delved into gut health out of my own need too, for very like decades, and breast implant illness, and then of course aging, all of it, right? So I just decided that I'm just an integrative coach, empowerment coach, because that's really what I am. It's like I want to help women to empower themselves in all these different areas, and I really feel that when you just kind of focus on one area, it's if in the other areas you're not trying to up level as well, they're going to drag you back down, right? It's kind of your body likes to be at the same level everywhere. And if one is up here and all the rest are down here. So that's why I like to talk to women and coach women on an integrative level. We talk about, okay, well, where is your health and fitness at? And where is your connection to spirit or nature? And where is your connection to self-love and self-worth and how you fit into the world and all these different dynamics. So that's why I labeled myself an integrative empowerment coach.
Hmm. Yeah, one lends itself to the other.
It does.
It
It
trickles.
absolutely does. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about connection versus disconnection?
Oh, good. Yes, absolutely. So when I first, like, back to your point about nature, I think I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and so there's a lot of city people that never actually go into nature. And there is a level of disconnect. And what happens is that when you're not connecting with nature itself, you're not actually connecting with yourself, because we can't pull ourselves apart from nature. And so
Mhm.
you're missing a huge component of stillness that you could only actually get when you're connecting with nature or spirit or source or God or whatever it is that you choose to call it.
Yeah.
And so that is what's incredibly important to me, is getting into nature and being able to experience that stillness, because then I learn a lot about myself just from the natural environment itself. As you would if you went to a church service or whatever, meditation, yoga. It's all the same. And I think a lot of people just, they're missing out on that connection. So they don't really fully know themselves. And then if you don't fully know yourself, how can you even know where to begin to make yourself content, at peace, and happy? Right? That is essentially it, is that we really miss the ability to truly be happy because we're missing a major component with ourselves.
Where do you think the evolution of women has gone when it comes to connecting to ourselves? What's your observation been?
Well, can I rock the boat here a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm probably part of a smaller minority of women who feels this way. I am not a feminist. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that all human beings should have equal rights, right? But I really do believe that the feminist movement as a whole set women back exponentially, because now not only are we being forced into the work field, some people still have children, now they have to take care of the home, or it's a go Dutch thing, and then it becomes a power struggle. Or the woman is out in the field and then the man feels like he's not enough. People don't know their biological roles. And yes, I'm going to say it, there's a reason that women give birth, is because we have the ability to nurture. And so when a woman tries to push back against that biological fact that she is a nester, she is a nurturer, there's a lot of dynamics within a relationship and within the world that start to happen for her, that I believe really set her back emotionally from connecting to truly who she is and what actually brings her joy. I've spoken to so many women that say, what, I just want to stay home and bake cookies. That'd be so nice. I just like to have the space to myself to make my house pretty and to plant the flowers. And, and these are corporate women that would tell you that no, there's no way that I could be a homemaker. But when the things that really do bring them joy are the things that are essentially a very feminine or female role, planting flowers and baking and nesting and all those types of things. So that's sort of my view on where women have gone, unfortunately. And I think it has put a lot of confusion into the female mind. And we've lost really our essence of being feminine.
What do you mean by that?
We are so stuck on this competitive mode of being, we've got to be hard, we've got to be strong, we've got to be tough, we've got to get out there and conquer, we've got to keep up with the Joneses, we have to mark our place in the world, and not realizing that all of our feminine or female attributes, part of being a biological woman, that is strength. All of those things that we are biologically is strong. Ask any man if he would want to be a woman. Well, maybe don't ask any man nowadays, but let's just say the traditional I told you I'm gonna ruffle some feathers. The traditional biological man, the cowboy on the horse and the one who's taking care of business, if he would want to have a woman's role, he's saying, no, I am good going out and tending to the horses and the cows and all the rest of it, or bringing home the bacon, because a woman's role, there's a lot, right? There's a lot going on. It's nurturing, it's taking care of emotions, and it's the household, and it's just a lot of stuff, and being a mother and all of that. And so
So since you began rocking the boat, I guess we're going to start the conversation by rocking the boat. I know that in medical journals, they've removed the word woman out of a medical journal. And like how detrimental that is, and how
yes,
saying is actually offensive to somebody. And I should be able to have that right just like anybody else.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And how I've chosen to deal with the insanity that is currently part of our world
Yeah.
is I'm not participating in it.
Meaning?
I'm not going to give it acknowledgement. I'm not going to read about it. I'm not going to listen to it. I know it's there, but I'm just not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to be forced into doing something. None of this. The problem is that they're trying to erase identity, self-identity, self-autonomy. And I mean, there's a million things wrong with that. But I do believe that it's just all part of the greater distraction that is happening. And I think the least amount of energy that we give it, and we continue to act and do as we have always done. A lot of things in our world need changing. That's no surprise. I think, if you want to start with the real basics, is the man and women role. I think, and I'm not naive to think that 1,000 years ago, women weren't treated horrifically, and the men and the kings and all that. But I'm talking about the good people, the good men, right? The good men, the salt of the earth man who's there to take care of his family. Not the kings, not the aristocrats, none of that stuff going back thousands of years or who knows how long, right? I'm talking about the good salt of the earth people. The dynamics within a relationship of a man and a woman always worked best when the woman did the woman's role and the man did the man's role. And coming from my mouth, I can hear myself as a teenager watching my mom make my dad's lunch and saying, I will never do that. My guy's going to make his own lunch. I was so against her doing that because I thought she was just being his slave. But what I didn't realize is that she was contributing a massive part to the family by taking care of the one who is enabling us to be fed and have a roof over our head. And there should be an immense amount of pride that women should have taking care of their partner. I think that a lot of women, for some reason, have been brainwashed into thinking that doing laundry and making dinner and providing a healthy, happy home for their husband is menial and it doesn't account or have any value. And you ask any man if he appreciates coming home to a home-cooked meal and his laundry done and, just being able to plop on the couch and have a nice conversation and have everything done for him. Yeah, he appreciates it immensely, especially if he's the one and the only one bringing home the bacon, right? Now, when both people are bringing home the bacon, the woman is still doing all of that in most scenarios. I find it hard to believe that people who have children, that the man is picking up the equal slack. It doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that they don't, but I think women still do the majority of the household things because that's what we are biologically accustomed to doing or made to do, right? We want to do it. We want to fold the towels a certain way, right? We want to have the furniture in a certain spot. We want to be able to make our dinners a certain way, and yeah, that's just part of being a woman.
Yeah, I mean, especially if cooking, as an example, is one of your love languages.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And to deny yourself of that. This sort of what you've expressed is foreshadowed in this whole thing we call the patriarchy. So your argument, I kind of concur with it. I'll have to tell you, it gets lost in this sort of programming that we're amidst at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And there's lots of cultures that are matriarchy, like the indigenous peoples, and they worked very well. But see, what you need to understand is that it was the same thing, except in reverse, right? So there still was the roles, right? They still had their very specific roles. And I think that is the point that is missing. In this westernized world, there's no roles. It's all mishmashed. And
Yeah.
everybody's fighting for this sort of power. So no matter if you have a matriarchy or a patriarchy, they are still following a set of roles and rules within those relationship and homestead environments. And that's what makes it fluid. That's what makes it run with efficiency and coherency and gel together to make this incredible, moving, and growing relationship, that actually thrives and flourishes throughout time, because there is none of this, constant trying to one up each other, even if you actually don't realize that it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, well, I did the dishes yesterday. It's your turn. Well, there you go. Right.
When if your clients are going to come to you, obviously about a variety of things, this must, come up in discussion about this whole thing around equality of men. So I don't need to feel equal to a man. It's just, I don't really care. That's not my shtick. But there needs to be respect. And I'm
Yes.
wondering, how do we navigate something like that, do you think?
That's a really good question. And I'm the same as you. I don't need to be equal. Now, I guess maybe that is the biggest point to ponder. What is everybody's interpretation of equal?
Great point.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think equality, as far as respect, yes, I would like to be equal. I would like to have just as much respect. But I don't need to be on the same income level. I don't need to, somebody needs to make a damn decision. Right. And you can talk about it together, but ultimately somebody's going to say, yes, we're going to that restaurant. There is going to be somebody, you don't usually say it at the same time, right? Be like, do you want to go there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Okay, great. We're going there. Right. So there needs to be somebody that is ultimately going to make the decisions. And particularly when it comes to, important things like stressful things, what if the house is on fire? Who's going to take the lead? Who has been brought up within the relationship to take the lead. If you have two people running around in circles, nobody knows what to do. Well,
Yeah.
there we have a problem. And I would like to think that the man would know what to do. Now, there's going to be a lot of women firefighters out there that are going to be having their knickers in a knot right now. And I totally get it. I mean, good for you. If you're around my house, please come save me. Right. But in a relationship dynamic, again, okay, let's use that example as a woman firefighter. So she's married to a chef, right? Yeah, she's going to know what to do. But I bet you at the end of the day, she still falls back into that female role of being the wife or the caregiver or whatever, right? Now, that just may be her particular specialty, that she actually knows a lot more about that. And that's great. But as long as it's just not this constant, well, I know more, I know my, but I really do, I do believe that I think it's just so important that we don't get caught up in trying to outdo each other. And I don't honestly believe that anybody needs to be more important than the other person, because both of us have equal jobs and responsibilities within a relationship. And I just want to touch on, as far as coaching, I don't often go down the road of relationships to this depth of level, because so many people nowadays have so many different perspectives, and I probably have a very small percentage of the population that would agree with the way I think. I don't know. But but I think what is really important is that within a working relationship, the number one thing is communication. The number two thing, or maybe number one thing, is respect. Respect and communication have to be at the forefront of all relationships. And once you have respect and communication, then all the pieces of the puzzle can gently fall together, and you can figure these things out together. But I do often tell women, it's like, look, if you're complaining about your husband leaving his socks on the floor, would you rather him continue to be the man of the family and you pick up his socks, or would you rather put the pants on for yourself and pick up the socks? you know, and a lot of women, I think that and I always used to call this a deballing of their man. They demasculate their man by turning him into this more feminine, you know, being that is constantly being nagged to death to do perhaps more naturally feminine roles. And, you know, when he wants to go out and do a more masculine role, you know, quit asking him to, again, pick up his socks. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just, there's so many different variables, but I have found that a lot.
There was an interesting blog post that you wrote
Mhm.
about being independent and traditional at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually fit in that sort of category because I've always known as a young girl that I was incredibly independent. And it was really confusing to me what that actually meant
Mhm.
and how I relate to being in a relationship with a man.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of confusing. And at the time of, you know, I come from a very traditional Italian upbringing. So I don't have this sort of like mentor with respect that really understands a psyche like that, you know?
Yeah.
And when I read your article, I just thought, you just kind of, you hit the nail. And it's actually extremely relevant today,
Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it?
isn't it? It's,
I know. Yeah.
is there,
Yes, it is.
is there anything else you want to touch on that?
Um, I think that is probably the secret sauce. That is the secret sauce that makes things work in today's world.
Mhm.
I am the same. Obviously, I wrote the blog post. I'm independent, but I
Mhm.
think independent can get skewed in so many different ways.
For
Independent,
sure.
right? And nowadays for women means like, I can stand on my own and I don't need you to carry my groceries and I can open my own door and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, that's not what it's about. It's like independent is you have a brain and you can think for yourself and maybe you want to have your own hobbies and your own career, but you also want to maintain that traditional role. You want
Mhm.
to come home and you want to be the woman. You want to be the caretaker. You want to be the giver, the nurturer, whatever else it is, right? Because it feels good. It feels good. I like to be taken care of by my man. And that, hey, if anybody out there wants to take care of me financially, I will be your woman. But I mean, I have no shame. I mean, I will do everything. Here's the drink when you walk in the door. I love to doing that. But back to my point is that I believe that when women don't value their role within the home, um, you know, they're just missing out on so much. They miss out on so much. And as far as like being independent, it's like I like to have my own thing. But I also really want to be able to care for somebody. And I want that man to care for me. I want him to be my protector. I want to know that if I'm in trouble or I need somebody, he's there and he's going to back me up. He's going to protect me. He's going to take care of me. The house is burning down. He's going to make sure that I am out. He's going to make sure the kids, the dogs, everything is out. You know, like that is my idea of a man. And if we're starving, he's going to find a way. He's going to find a way.
Mhm.
And I will do everything else.
Well, I think that there's something to be said, obviously, about being the nurturer, but also being in service to others,
Yeah.
right? Because this is what you're ultimately saying. I just heard you say, you know, you grab, you know, like the drink. You would do that for anybody walking into your home or whatever it is, because it feels extremely natural to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I know that you have a lot of, we might get back to that. We might bounce to that. But tell me about self-worth. And we kind of already touched on that already. Boundaries, how we can do those things better today.
Okay, great. Yeah, I actually just did a TikTok on boundaries just a
Oh,
couple
did
of.
you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So boundaries are interesting because it shows a lot about how much we value ourself and what our self-love is. Um, I have a lot of women that will come to me and say, like, you know, they've experienced something, and I'll ask them, well, do you know what your boundaries are? Do you have a list of the things that are absolutely essential and you're never, you know, you're not going to to lower those guidelines that you've made for yourself, right? I've totally lost the word I was trying to think of. Anyway, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
That is really important because when you don't have boundaries, then you allow yourself to, be walked on. You do things that you don't want to do. You say yes when you meant to say no. You will give up doing things, to please other people and sabotage your own goals. Like if you have a health goal and somebody says, let's go for a drink, you probably shouldn't go, but you do anyway to make them happy. And then you sabotage yourself. So boundaries are a really good indicator as to how much love we are showing ourselves. Because if we
Yeah.
are too afraid to place boundaries, that means the other person's needs, desires, wants, expectations are more important than the ones that we have for ourselves.
Mhm.
So that is something that I really coach women on a lot, is that they need to be really clear what their boundaries are. And I'm talking every area of life. So when you go over, what are your financial boundaries? What are your romantic boundaries? What are your friendship boundaries? What are your family boundaries? What are your health boundaries? Fitness, nutrition, all of those, everything, spiritual. What are your boundaries? What are your absolute essentials? And you need to make sure that you're very clear on what they are. And I think was it today? I think I just posted it. Again, another TikTok video is that when you're really clear on your boundaries, and let's say that you're being asked to do something that you don't want to do, a lot of people have a really hard time like jumping into saying, oh yeah, no, that's not part of my boundaries, or my boundaries that goes outside of my boundaries. I always tell people, take 5 minutes, or tell people when it comes to any single question that you are answered, that you're not prepared to give the answer right away, that you will get back to them, whether it's a couple of minutes, an hour, a week, whatever, because it gives you a chance to center yourself and remember what your boundaries are. And once you remember your boundaries, you can get grounded, pull your power back in, and then approach the person and say, right, so this is my answer to that. This is my answer to, no, I'm not going to go out. No, I'm sorry, but I don't drink anymore. No, I'm sorry, that job is not going to work for me, or whatever it is, right? So just allowing those few minutes a week or whatever it is before you get back to them. And then you get your power back, and you know exactly what your boundaries are. And it gives you time to remember them and to respond with your best interest at heart.
Okay, this brings up something up for me. We talked about, like, say, the word feminism and labeling. I'm not a fan of labels either, but just recalling our ancestors, who those became for us, and the women that took the very first, or who were the very first at X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
There's, and speaking about boundaries, right? It's, how many years ago that they needed to find that sort of self-resilience within themselves. And then the question is that we're still generations away. And yes, you've talked about it. We've taken a step back. I agree with you. There's a certain aspect of that I think that we concur on. And I'm wondering why you think like we're kind of still here as women, like feeling that level of guilt about saying yes, no, and all the rest of it.
I think it comes down to, that's such a big question. I think it comes down to, women are natural people pleasers, and we want people to like us.
Okay. Yeah.
We want people to like us. We don't want to offend people. Remember, biologically, I think women, our desire is to make people feel good, to nurture, to care for, right?
Right.
Bring a smile to, little baby's face, right? And then when you put us into this modern world and we have to answer questions or say things that might actually offend somebody or not be what that person wants, I think biologically it's in us. We just don't want to hurt people's feelings. And so we get stuck in this kind of feedback loop of knowing that we should be sticking up for our boundaries, but that, biological thing that keeps pulling us back into like, oh, geez, but I might hurt their feelings, and oh, I should go. It's only going to be an hour, I think that's part of it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
In one of your posts I was reading, you talked about David Goggins.
Yeah.
And I
David.
think if people don't know about David Goggins, just, look him up. He's quite a like tough love kind of a person. And I'm wondering how you bring the element of David Goggins, if at all, into your work.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So I started a little movement group, I guess, and I've kind of rebranded myself as Warrior Women.
As
And
what, sorry?
Warrior Women.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And particularly because of all the drama that's been going on in the world for the last 4 or 5 years, I've seen a big shift in a lot of women going towards all of this feminine healing and empowerment. And
Right.
while that's beautiful and lovely with the crystals and all the different, groups and the prayer, all that stuff, right? It's lovely. And I do all of that too. What I've also seen is that there is a segment of women that are over here trying to fight hard for the rest of us, right? And we need to be able to realize that fight that makes that very thing that makes women strong, that makes women warriors, is the fact that we are women. I mean, what any female species on the planet that's had a child, and honestly, I've never had one because it terrifies me. The fact I think you have to be pretty damn strong to be able to do that. So the fact that, the female species gives birth for 99.99999% of the species on this planet, that in itself is a warrior act. The incredible amount of pain that a woman has to go through in order to have a child. And it's that warrior. It is that fierce, fighter that is inside of every single woman, I think has been dampened and turned into a little bit too much of this fluffy pink feathers and, fairy dust and all of that. And while that's beautiful, I think that woman can still be an absolute warrior, right? She can walk out into the field with the flowers on her head and then behind her back, pull out her sword.
Mm-hmm.
And I am there to help the women learn how to pull their sword out when the time is needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I really do believe that we've just gotten soft, kind of like a lot of the men have gotten really soft. And that is part of the reason why our planet is being, or is rather able to be controlled to the extent that it is, because the warrior inside human beings, and I'm specifically talking about women because, I'm a woman, is gone. Nobody wants to stand up against evil, against things that are wrong. And with respect to my coaching, because I'm not here to tell women how to go and fight against your government, although, having said that, I am here to help women to realize that they are strong, and that while they can have all of these very soft attributes, all the ones that make them a wonderful homemaker and a wonderful partner, that there is a fierce woman inside them, and that she can stand up at any time. But a lot of women have forgotten that. They have forgotten how to stand up for themselves. They've forgotten how to place boundaries in their life in all these different areas. They have forgotten how to regain control and power over their lives, in their health and their fitness, in their well-being, in their spirituality. They have forgotten, because the warrior part that decides enough is enough and I'm going to change has gotten clouded and overshadowed with self-development and, going out and doing mantras and listening to, sound waves. And while all of those things are amazing, and I do them as well, there needs to be a bit of action. And the warrior woman is all about taking action. It's like, I will do all these beautiful things, but then the very next step is I'm taking some actions and I'm taking no prisoners, because I have to change my life. And I'm the only one that can do that. And I'm the only one that can take action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that was thank you for that. Yeah. You talk about one of the things you've got some PDF downloads that I printed off,
Oh,
which are
good.
which are really great. You've got one on betrayal.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love what you say here. You've got, do not act on any of these. You talk about how we generally respond when someone betrays us. Your personal power remains yours when you do not respond. And then you say, read that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about that? Because where, you know, the moment, just a few moments ago, you talked about how give yourself 5 minutes or a day or half an hour to respond. So we're constantly reactive to things and we want to make a point and all those things.
Yes, and you're very right. And that's part of our always trying to like one up, right? We're always
Yeah.
trying to one up. We're trying to get back. And in my experience in the past, you know, I've had several incidences or relationships where I was able to take back all of the strength that I had given to somebody else and all of the power that I'd given to somebody else by not speaking a word.
Mm-hmm.
Because people intrinsically want a reaction. And when the reaction is not there, the coal remains in their hand. The hot coal remains in their hand.
Right.
And so when you aren't triggered into an immediate reaction, so in a lot of circumstances, there is no reaction needed. You just maintain your internal peace and power by not saying anything, not responding. There's no need to, right? We don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to come back with a rebuttal. We can maintain all of our power within by not responding. Now, if you do need to respond because it's the situation or circumstance that requires a response, taking that 5 or 10 minutes or that hour to respond, then you're able to put yourself back into that place of power, gather your thoughts, go over your boundary list and say, okay, I'm going to strategize my response so that I remain in center. I remain my own power source and I'm not giving more away to that person or event or situation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. You also focus on, I know that you're a personal trainer as well, on top of other things. So you've really actually also given a lot of, um, I would say focus on menopause, perimenopause, all that stuff. What does this period in our lives mean?
Ooh. For me personally, it was kind of an awakening. And I think, you know, you may have had the same thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I've always heard, you know, when you reach 50, you're just not going to give a shit. Right. And lo and behold, you just don't give a shit. You just don't. You just don't. So I think that is probably the biggest lesson that I've learned, is that you really become clear on the things that truly are important. You know, the bad hair day, I used to think, you know, having like, you know, a hair just a little bit out, oh, it would send me off the deep end. I'd have to go I couldn't leave the house. Now, are you kidding me? I will go out looking like my hair is up in tinfoil from the hairdressers. It's okay. I'm all good. You know, like you just realize what is truly important, and what is important is making yourself happy.
Hmm.
You know, the opinions and judgments and all of that from other people no longer have any place in your mind or your heart. And what I've realized is that they don't actually judge anyway. There's nobody out there thinking or saying the things that I thought they were thinking and saying. It was all me. It was all me, right? That insecurity. And so growing older and going through the whole menopause stage and aging rather quickly, because as you know, it happens so quickly and women
Yeah.
don't realize that. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. Wow. Yesterday I looked like a younger person. Today I don't. That's crazy. So that is that requires a level of warrior for sure to be able to say, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I was youthful, and youthful is not the be all end all. Every single age is the be all end all of that age. And so being in your 50s or 60s or 70s or 40s or whatever it is that we have some incredible attributes that no other age has. And I think when women start to realize and own their age from that point, it's incredibly freeing. It's incredibly freeing. You know, it's ironic because the men that I tend to connect with the most, and I'm not dating, but are all in their late 30s.
Oh, really?
It's amazing. It's
Why?
amazing. I I don't know, but I think it's because I think as a man ages, he reaches his mid 30s and he starts to see what is important as well, right? He's gotten over the whole like going after all the young girls, and he's looking for something that is solid, something that is confident, a woman that, not something, a woman that is confident, a woman that is solid, a woman who knows who she is, who is not insecure, who can provide a good home, who could, look, could be a good mother. There's a lot, the men are looking for that too, right? And I think at that age, mid 30s to late 30s, these men are now looking. And when you take a look at a 50-year-old woman, she knows who she is. She's confident. She's not going to take any shit. She's self-assured. She knows how to take care of herself. So I think it's just kind of like those two times where this particular age sees value in that, and that is a 50-year-old woman. Now, it's not that they're going to hook up with them, but I think that there's a lot of connection. I have a lot of male friends that are in their mid to late 30s, and we have amazing conversations. And I have a feeling that that's because we're kind of on the same, we're on the same time frame, with respect to where I'm at and what they're looking for. And so they can connect. They can connect to a woman of this age. They understand, they appreciate it, respect it. Yeah.
Well, look at Cher.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, what do you think is the most important thing that we can do for women, like for each other? Because there are times where you see women dogging each other,
Yes.
you
All
know,
the time. All the
pardon
time.
me?
All the time. All the
Right,
time.
right.
Okay, it's a two-part answer here. Number one, the most important thing that you can do as a woman is to make sure the women in your life are the right women, and that you have boundaries around the types of women that you have in your life. So that's the number one. That's taking the responsibility part, right? I
Right.
coach a lot on personal responsibility in all those areas, fitness and health and relationships, all of that. So,
Right.
And the second thing is, if you are a woman with a friend who is in need of advice or support, I think women need to really listen to our female friends rather than trying to tell them how things are. See what she is in need of. Maybe she just needs support. I've had some experiences, recently or in my past where I've had an idea for business. I wanted to do something, and I've had friends that have said, well, maybe you should think about doing this, or why don't you do this? And really what I wanted was for them to say, well, let's figure out how you can make that work. Right? Because when you empower a woman with support, she can conquer mountains.
That's so true.
Right. And
Yeah.
the opposite is true. If you take her out at her knees and you tell her that her idea is like, well, maybe you should think about something else, you deflate any other idea that's going to come into her head, and she loses her self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would suggest for women is to, number one, make sure you have the right women in your life. And number two, if you are a woman who is giving support to a female friend, support her, ask her what she needs. And even if you don't think it's a good idea or you wouldn't do it, support her. Ask her how you can help her to succeed in that. Let her learn her lesson on her own. But by you telling her is going to deflate her, and she probably won't try or attempt to do anything again, because you will have taken away part of her self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
There was an advert that I saw recently on LinkedIn, and a gentleman posted it, and he talked about, there was an advertisement where young girls at a very young age, like, I don't know, 5 years old, that kind of thing. And they talked about strength and equality. I can do it too, against the male.
Right.
And I thought, wow, like starting really at that age and already coming in with a mindset. Um, And I'm wondering if that has any positive thing, or like, is it detrimental? I
I
mean, it's a
think
two-edged sword, right?
it is. It's a twofold. It definitely is
Yeah,
because I kind of grew up on the cusp of, women were homemakers, but then some women became career women.
yeah,
And right. And it was sort of like this
totally.
dichotomy, right?
Yeah. Well, this is what we were talking about earlier about, tradition versus
Yeah. I
independence.
think empowering girls, I think the problem lies within the statement that you said that I can do it too. It's because, well, who said that you couldn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Who said you
Yeah.
couldn't? And then
Right.
I can do it too, means you're competing against somebody else. And who would that be? Well, it would be a boy. So, but why is that even a thing? They should just be supporting girls to like, yeah, if do you want to do this, that's great. And supporting their self-confidence, not making it about, well, who said that you couldn't do it? And why do you have to compare yourself to the boy? So I think that this is almost like it's the institutions that are causing the problem by
Yeah.
their verbiage.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Yeah.
That shouldn't even be a thing. It should just be we're supporting boys and girls
Mhm.
across the board equally, not the I'm a girl and I can do it too. It's like, well, who said that you couldn't?
Yeah.
A boy, like it's who's telling you that this, right? So I think that is the problem. It's the verbiage.
What do you tell your clients, like as a society, we're sort of live in this victim space?
Oh gosh.
We do. And so, I mean, I ran that gamut, and I'm like, okay, so every time I catch myself, I go, oh, no, nix that. That's not happening. This
Yeah,
is like, it's old.
it
So
is.
stop that.
It gets old.
But it
Yeah.
continues to happen.
Mhm.
Like if you're listening to mainstream news and even sometimes independent media, I mean,
Mhm.
this is happening to us.
Right, of course. Yes.
Rather than gaining some emotional intelligence and looking at it and going, okay, it's happening to us and it's happening for us. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, how are you coaching your clients um, in that sort of, yeah, just like in our society right now?
Right. Okay. Again, I have two answers for you. So my friends would tell you, even in my early 30s, probably even in my 20s, I have a saying. It's called suck it up, buttercup.
Hmm.
Right. So if you have a problem, quit whining about it and suck it up. Right. And not meaning push down the emotions or don't acknowledge the trauma or the feelings or the hardship. Yes. But in the end, and this gets to my second part, you need to take responsibility for it. So that is the suck it up buttercup part. It's like, I get it, but you ultimately need to take some action. You need to take responsibility for whatever's happening, even if the thing that's happening wasn't per se caused by you. You are a victim to it. You still need to take responsibility for how you're going to react to it. That is, I think, a major problem in our world right now, is that people are always trying to, again, a pill for every ill. We're always looking for somebody else to fix our shit. And the reality is that no matter what happens, if you're in an abusive relationship, if you get fat, if you, go bankrupt, if you, um, any number, if you have an illness, any number of things, ultimately you have a choice. You can lay down and continue to let those same things happen to you or have those same experiences over and over, or you can stand up and become a warrior and take 100% responsibility for it and go, that's it. Okay, no problem. Nope. I am going to take charge and control of this situation now. And here is what my options are. And this is what I'm going to do. It's all about assuming responsibility. And
Hmm.
there's a quote that I learned when I was in network marketing, actually. It was a trainer, and he used to say, event, story, problem. Event, no story, no problem. So I'll give you just a really short explanation. Let's say you get into a fender bender. You get out of your car. You're like yelling at the person, I'm going to be late for work and I can't believe this. I'm like, you're phoning your, and you get to the work, you're the water cooler. That's the talk all day. You get home, you're going over the drama. There's this, there's that, all of it. That is the story. Now you have a problem because you can't sleep because you're ruminating on everything. And you're ruminating about what Sally said at the water cooler, saying, well, did you make sure you get a picture of their license? And maybe they did this, or maybe, and now it becomes a problem. So it's festering in you. And then you go to work the next day and now you're talking about it with everybody and you're saying how much the insurance is going to cost you, etc. Now you have a problem. You've affected your physical being from an event. Here's the flip side, and this is the taking responsibility side. You get into a fender bender. Allow yourself a few minutes to go, fuck. Oh my God, this really sucks. Okay. All right. Okay. What do we need to do? Call the insurance, get a tow truck, get your ass to work. And that's it. That's it. Carry on with your day. End of the day. Oh yeah, the car's probably done. Go get the car, drive home. Hey, honey, got an fender bender. Yeah, it's all good. Okay, what's for dinner? That's it. Event, no story, no problem. Because you've taken care of the details. There's no drama. There's no emotional drama. There's no gossiping. There's none of that stuff. Hasn't affected your physical being. You go to bed. That's it. So I always like to tell my clients, take a look at this particular piece of drama that you're in the middle of right now and ask yourself, how could I have responded differently? Or how can I respond differently by assuming 100% responsibility for it and taking the appropriate actions in a methodical way, allowing yourself to grieve or process, but not allowing the drama to infuse the situation and give you an even bigger problem. As the saying goes, creating a mountain out of a molehill, right?
Right. That's excellent. I mean, some of us can do it better than others.
Oh, I'm no wizard at it, believe me.
It's
But
a
I
work in
always do.
progress.
It is a work in progress. It absolutely, but it's, I have that little piece of paper, event, no story, no problem. I have it in my car.
Oh, really?
And if
Yeah.
you just look at that and you're like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Right. Somebody says something to you, you're like, no story around that. That their words, that's their problem, right? It's my responsibility how I react.
Mm-hmm.
I have autonomy over my thoughts and my body and my feelings. So what am I
Yeah.
going to do?
Well, when we blame others and complain about it, we don't realize that we're giving our power away constantly.
Constantly.
Yeah. And it's like this energy that escapes your
Yes,
physical body rather
that's
than
right.
keeping it contained. Some I think that takes aging. I really do. I don't I
It,
would
I
say
know.
that in my
It really does. It does. Yeah. Because as we're as well, especially at, in our 20s and 30s, we're such emotional beings. We're so reactive.
Mhm.
But I think also too, a lot of how we were raised has a lot to do with that, and a lot of blame to be placed on the fact that we weren't raised to have a strong sense of self, to know what boundaries are, to know what self-esteem is, to know what self-worth is.
Mhm.
I think if we were all given those tools as we aged, instead of, math and history and social studies, I think we would have learned these types of things. We definitely would be higher functioning human beings today, with a lot more consistency and groundedness.
Yeah, my mother and I talk about that.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
we
Lovely.
we we did. I mean, she's come full circle. She's 85 years old.
My
Right.
dad is too. Yeah.
Yeah, like so they're both so obviously we have these conversations about like our roles and her experience with her marriage and that, right? So that's where it comes up a lot. So yeah.
Interesting.
Pardon?
Interesting.
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting to get to know her in that way,
Yeah.
as opposed to because she's my mom, but there's,
Hmm.
yeah. So mentors, let me ask you this. Are you your own mentor or do you have mentors or both?
That's a good question. Um, I don't have mentors. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, you know what? I will take advice from people. I will learn from people, but I don't look up to anybody. I
Mhm.
never have, even in my, like, again, my network marketing career that you always follow, look at Gary Vee, look at this, look at that. And
Yeah.
people talk about, I just don't. I will like, oh, that's a really cool thing, you know, they're really smart at that. I don't have mentors. Um, I think because we're just all evolving, and having a mentor, so to speak, means you're placing the person above you,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And I
Yeah,
just don't place anybody above me.
right. So what kind of rituals do you have?
Well, the one ritual I have is I get into nature every single morning, right? Every single morning. I either go for a hike or I go for a run. That's my absolutely essential. And if it's absolutely miserable outside and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not going outside, I will go to the gym. So my number one ritual is working out or being in nature working out. And that's not the typical, you know, writing your gratitude journal and all of that, but I do that when I'm doing that.
Mm.
So first thing when I wake up, like literally first thing, I say, I'm thankful for this amazing life, and I am capable of bringing massive abundance into my life in all areas. So that is what I say as I'm rolling out of bed.
You say that out loud?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taken
Yeah.
me a while to do that, but it actually feels really good. Yeah. And it's become a thing. And when I go to bed at night, I will say it in my head though. I will say it just to
Oh,
myself. Yeah.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
you'll say the same thing, but inside your head.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I think for me, saying it inside is quiet.
Yeah.
It's peaceful, it's quiet. I'm kind of connecting to the, you know, getting sleepy and all that. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm waking myself up by speaking those things into existence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those are the things. And then again, it's straight into exercise at the gym or a hike or a run in the forest. Um, and then I will come home and literally I just look at my list of things to do and start to prioritize things, because every single flipping day it changes. You know, I'll be like, no, that's not important today. It was yesterday, not anymore today. And that's kind of how I do my life. It's like, because I'm constantly evolving. Maybe I will have learned something or listened to a podcast or had an epiphany that I want to change, you know, my direction with my coaching and get, you know, more narrowed down to be broader. You know, and that's what it is. I don't really have a lot of rituals. I mean, I know a lot of people will do their meditation, they will listen to, you know, whatever it is, and I just don't, because I'm really connected in my time when I'm in nature. That's all I do when I'm there. So I'm there for an hour or two a day. So
Wow.
that is all I do. I think, I'm grateful. I allow my brain just to be quiet. Sometimes I will stop. Um, you know, sometimes I see amazing things in the forest that are crazy, you know, and so I'll just be like, wow, that was crazy, right? And so I that's my time. That is my meditative time.
Wow. That's really neat.
Yeah, it is. It is actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Do you, have you always had like certain dreams, like as a little girl, and have they manifested up until this point? Or are they, you add to the list, or what does that look like?
That's actually, hang on one sec.
Oh,
Take a sip of my vodka. No, that's just water. Just
yeah.
joking. Um, Ironically, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a businesswoman. Like, you know, this is when I'm in high school. I wanted to be a businesswoman walking downtown Vancouver with my briefcase and my suit on. And then as I got into my 20s, I just really wanted to meet my knight in shining armor, have my flower garden, bake cookies, and just do that. And it has never happened. I mean, I've had boyfriends, but it's never happened. So yeah, I'm kind of in this like, dang, you know? So don't really want to be the businesswoman. I mean, I love what I do. I love all the things that I do. Um, but what I really, really, and I will still continue to do these, even if I did meet my knight in shining armor, but what I would really like to do is like, yeah, have a homestead with a dude. one of those manly men.
Well, I hope that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. So, at the beginning of the show, I talked about where we left off today, or rather last time, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
about your unwellness and where you are today. When you look back and reflect on your evolution, what comes to mind?
Emotional healing.
Mm.
Yeah, emotional healing. So much of our physical state is emotional. We want to place blame on, and yes, the food we eat is crap, the air, the water, everything, but we really do have so much power and control of our body. And whenever I find that really hard to believe, I just remember the people who spontaneously heal, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that have had something and they meditate themselves into health. It's like, well, they're not special. It's just they've tapped into something that we haven't yet tapped into. And so
mm,
all of the illnesses that I have given to myself, including the breast implant illness, which has had lasting effects for sure, which I'm still struggling with some of them. Um, I know those components that are left over are for sure still here because I have not healed some parts of my emotional baggage, so to speak.
right, right.
So again, it's assuming responsibility
Mhm.
and knowing that it's just me. I have all the control. So I never complain. I don't get upset about it. Um, I'd have to say, Lauren, and this isn't a question that you asked, but I'm going to share the answer to it, is that I think one of my superpowers or one of my skills is that I don't ever allow myself to have a woe is me.
Mm.
I've had a lot of shit happen, like a lot of shit. And I just had some really bad shit happen. And it's event, no story, no problem.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I just feel like it keeps me powerful that way, keeps me
Yeah,
powerful
yeah,
because I know myself, if I am allowing, or if I allow myself to go there emotionally and let's say feel perhaps what somebody else might feel, devastated or like wrecked or whatever it is, I probably won't come back. It'll be very deep. So, how I have learned to cope with that and my strength has been the ability to say, okay, well, I have two choices here. I can do the whole event story thing and go down the emotional rabbit hole and perhaps never come back up, be on medication, who knows what, right? Be a mess. Or I can say, I'm going to take this road because in life, we all have two paths that we can take. There's always that, oh, if I would have made that decision, it would have been this way, right? Everything we do, whether we're going to eat the cake or not eat the cake, we're going to marry the person, not marry the person, right? We're going to go for a run, not go for a run. Two choices, right? And I always choose to have this path instead because it's more empowering. And what do we all want? We want to be more empowered because
mhm.
when you're empowered, then you have control of your life. So there you go.
So, Monica, why should I'll say middle-aged or women who are going through perimenopause? I mean, perimenopause can start very early.
Very,
Yeah.
very.
And of course, I know that you hit on every aspect of a person's life, every area, financial, relationship, health and fitness, emotional well-being and all that. I noticed that you did that. So you're covering all the areas, which I think is brilliant.
Thank you.
Just circling back to what you had said earlier.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think is your like special nugget that women should come and seek your services?
Ooh, my special nugget. Oh my gosh. That's the elevator pitch there, Lauren.
I know, but Let's make it up.
That's the elevator pitch. Okay.
It would be so
Never
simple.
I was in network marketing. I was never good at doing the elevator pitch. Okay. Um, I think because I'm just I don't beat around the bush. It's like if you have a problem in your area of life, we're going to get to the root of it stat. I'm not going to waste time talking about emotions and feelings. What do you need solved? This is the rabbit hole we're going to go down, and this is the end result that you're going to have. That's how I operate in my life. I'm a very, here's the problem, there's the solution, right?
Mm,
And I give people, on a side note, I give them the tools to do the emotional work on their own. And I'm not saying we don't talk about these things.
right.
I think it's really important that people take self-responsibility for doing those kinds of things. And I'm going to show you the nuts and bolts of how to get to where you need to go in order, based on your goals and your preferences and all of that. So
Yeah. You seem like you have a really healthy relationship with time.
yeah, I hate wasting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, it's like, I just did a TikTok the other day. It's like, if you're the kind of person, I don't like to be in the never ending counseling session. I don't like to be in the course that's like 9 weeks long. And it's like, wow, like, could you just get to the point, right? Like, just tell me what I need to do. If I need to stay up for 12 hours doing it, good. But at least I know it's going to be done in 12 hours. I don't like the open ended, the never ending, because I'm somebody who loses my attention span very quickly because I get bored. And if I can't start to see results within days, I am going to be bored out of my tree. I need to be stimulated. And in order for me to be stimulated, I need to see some stuff happen. And so that's how I coach. It's like I want people, women, to be able to see the positive effects of our coaching together that week. Right. I don't want it to be dragged out for so long that it's just becomes this like, wow, this is now a novel, let's just make it a really Cole's Notes and like, let's get her done. Let's get her done. And any of the emotional work that they have to do, they can do that on their own. And I will give them the tools to do that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
So Monica with a K,
Monica with a K.
monikadiane.com.
Yes.
We can find you on Instagram, right?
Yes. TikTok is probably my biggest platform. Who knew?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm growing over there. I mean, it's not massive, but almost 18,000 people. So, it's picking up.
That's amazing.
I had a video that had like 460 something views on it, and it was all about our current world situation. So a lot of people joined my little flag waving, due to that video. But yeah, all of my videos and the downloads and everything can be found on my TikTok. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, don't leave me yet. So I want to say a personal goodbye. But for the
Absolutely.
purposes of the show, thank you so much for coming and sharing today. It was really valuable.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me. I love talking to you.
you bet. And I hope, dear audience, that you found this segment valuable. And if you want to find out, how to reach Monica, if you're going through this particular stage in your life, um, please connect. Okay, so everybody take good care of yourselves and thank you so much. Bye for now.